वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. I welcome all the participants for this new course on Learn to Live Gita. On the occasion of Gita Jayanti, in this auspicious month of December, where we celebrated Gita Jayanti and Mokshadaya Ekadasi just recently. So we are planning to study Bhagavad Gita nicely from one perspective. Of the perspective of finding application values in the Bhagavad Gita. So, one may wonder, why another course on Bhagavad Gita? There are so many courses that many devotees and speakers are conducting, and I myself also have conducted many courses on Bhagavad Gita. So this year only, we just recently completed one course as a part of Bhakti Shastri, where we studied Bhagavad Gita for about 7 months or so. And last December, we did a month-long 30-day course on the important shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. Before that, I took some 3 or 2 batches of Bhagavad Gita for young devotees. So, like every time we are reading this book, Bhagavad Gita, we find a freshness, newness in the content, and we learn more. So it's like the words of the Supreme Lord Krishna that he has spoken in Bhagavad Gita completely fascinate a sincere hearer. And every time we read Bhagavad Gita, we become more and more attracted to its structure and the message, and we see the contents from different perspectives. And over years, when we read Gita repeatedly, our understanding only becomes refined and deeper and deeper. So, of all these scriptures in the Vedic library, in the scriptural library, Bhagavad Gita has a very special significance. While all the scriptures are written by great sages like Vyasadeva and many other sages. Bhagavad Gita is that book which is directly spoken by Almighty God Krishna. We are getting this scripture directly from the Supreme Lord Krishna. And even in my first reading of Bhagavad Gita, I found several sections of Bhagavad Gita very practical for application in personal life. And they are very universal principles, not meant for a particular sect or faith. And it took few readings for me to understand this literature a little more deeply. And I'm still figuring out how much depth is there. So, but once we read Bhagavad Gita, then we understand that the contents are universally relevant, and one can become more responsible to conduct oneself personally, socially, and spiritually after equipping oneself with the wisdom of Gita. So Bhagavad Gita has 5 prominent teachings. The 5 prominent teachings that embody this divine literature are 1. Ishvara, who is God. 2. Jiva, who is the living entity. Who am I? 2. Prakriti. 3rd is Prakriti, the nature. What is this world around me? 4th, Kala, time factor. 5th, Karma, activities. So are these 5 topics like restricted to only a section of human society? Everybody finds relevance in these 5 topics, right? So these 5 subjects that Krishna spoke in Bhagavad Gita in the overall 18 chapters of this book are very much relevant for everyone. So apart from the philosophical depth and practical relevance of Bhagavad Gita, I also found Bhagavad Gita a very accommodative book. Bhagavad Gita caters to the needs of multiple audiences. Sometimes children may read, sometimes youth may read, sometimes married people may read, sometimes working professionals may read, sometimes monks may read, or many audiences will read Bhagavad Gita. And there is something in Bhagavad Gita which is relevant for everybody. Okay, it's not meant only for a section of audience. Sometimes people may feel that, oh, Gita is meant for old people or monks, sadhus, sannyasis, brahmacharis. But whom did Krishna speak Bhagavad Gita to? Did he speak to a monk? Did he speak to a sannyasi? Did he speak to a brahmana, panditji? Did he speak to a retired person? He spoke to Arjuna. Arjuna was a warrior. He was a prince. He was in a very emergency situation. He was about to fight in the war, in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So at that time, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. So although in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is speaking Bhagavad Gita in the context of war, the content of Gita is not very much about the war. It is about life. So that's why Bhagavad Gita has several sections, several shlokas, several concepts, several principles, several values that are relevant for our practical application in our personal lives. So this course is not meant to give in a shloka by shloka, section by section overview of Bhagavad Gita. Yes, we definitely discuss a little overview, but we'll focus mainly on the practical application perspectives of the contents of Gita. I'll give a gist. I'll give an outline of every chapter in few minutes, and then we will again revisit the chapter from the perspective of what are the golden principles that we can collect from these chapters for our daily application. Okay, in our day-to-day dealings with other people and dealings with matter and our own personal conduct, how to refine that personal conduct. So this will be the focus of the course, mainly application perspectives, while understanding the flow of Gita like to a reasonable extent. So we'll not go shloka by shloka, we'll not recite every shloka like we did in the other courses. Okay, so let's begin with this small prelude. So today's session, we will focus on the first chapter and the first 10 shlokas of the second chapter. So Krishna begins to speak in Bhagavad Gita from the second chapter, 11th shloka. He spoke one small statement in the first chapter also, but actually his teachings begin in the second chapter, 11th sloka onwards. So that we will start tomorrow. Today, we will focus on the first chapter and the first 10 slokas of the second chapter, where we find Arjuna's confusions. We find the context of this whole war, this battle. Okay, we find some statements of Duryodhan, some statements of Sanjaya, and we read some statements of Dhritarashtra. Okay, so are you able to hear me? Clear? Am I audible? So let's begin. Bhagavad Gita, as I said, it is spoken by the Supreme Lord, Krishna directly. It is the song of God. So we know that birthdays of human beings are celebrated. Okay, but birthday of a song, is it celebrated? So every year we celebrate the birthday of this song, Bhagavad Gita, Gita Jayanti. We recently celebrated just a couple of days back, and we did entire recitation of Bhagavad Gita on Gita Jayanti day. So because this song is spoken by God himself, sung by God himself, so we even celebrate the birthday of this song in the form of Gita Jayanti. And as I mentioned, Gita has a special significance, special position in the entire scriptural library. This shloka comes in Gita Mahatmya. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopalanandanaha partho vatsaha sudhir bhokta dugdham gitamritam mahat. Sarva Upanishado gavo. You take all Upanishads, great Shastras, and compare them with a cow. And dogdha gopalanandanaha. And Lord Krishna is the cowhead boy who is milking that cow. Partho vatsaha sudhir bhokta. And Partha, who is Partha? Arjuna. Arjuna is compared to the calf of the cow. Okay, and Krishna is allowing the calf to drink the milk of the cow. Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat. So the milk of the cow is Gita, Bhagavad Gita. So the Upanishads are compared to cow. The milk of the Upanishads is compared to Bhagavad Gita. The essence of Upanishads is compared to Bhagavad Gita. And the cowhead man is Krishna and the calf is Arjuna. So that's the comparison given in this beautiful shloka. So as I said, Bhagavad Gita is spoken in the context of war on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But the content of Gita is life, principles that guide our social life, spiritual life, personal life. So let us see. And I already mentioned the 5 universally relevant topics that Krishna teaches in Bhagavad Gita. Jiva, Ishvara, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. Who am I? Who is God? What is this world around me? What is this time factor that is constantly influencing me? And how do I work? How do I work in such a way that I don't get any reaction to my work? So non-reactionary work. So let's see the background of Bhagavad Gita. As you know, Pandu Maharaj is the prince of Hastinapur, and he has an elder brother, Dhritarashtra. Both are brothers. But Dhritarashtra, although he was an elder brother, he was blind. He was not qualified to sit on the throne. So Pandu Maharaj sat on the throne, but eventually Pandu had to die. Pandu died for various reasons. Okay. When Pandu died, Pandu's wife Kunti, she was taking care of these 5 children of Pandu, who are popularly called as Pandavas. They are Yudhishthir, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakul, and Sahadev. So these are the 5 Pandavas, sons of Pandu, and Kunti, a widowed woman, she was taking care of them. And Dhritarashtra had 100 sons. They are Duryodhan, Dushyasan, and many other wicked people. So while Pandu's sons are righteous, Dhritarashtra's sons were vicious. So Duryodhan and his supporters tried to harm the Pandavas and even kill the Pandavas several times right from their childhood. Even when Bhima was very young, Bhima was poisoned and he was thrown into water. And when they're little grown up, they're little settled as rulers of a certain province, Duryodhan defeated Pandavas in a gambling match by cheating. And he even insulted their chaste wife, Draupadi, who was a great devotee. After doing all this, he had sent them to the forest, 13 years of exile. They should leave their kingdom and live in the forest. And they did that also. And after living in the forest for 13 years, they came back to claim their share of the kingdom. And suddenly this Duryodhan says, forget kingdom. I will not give even that much land that is accommodated under the tip of a needle. To that degree, he was arrogant. He was envious. He was selfish. He was greedy for the kingdom. So then, even Krishna personally went to negotiate with Duryodhan, but Duryodhan was so adamant. So he did not agree to give the rightful share of the kingdom back to the Pandavas. So war was inevitable. So the two parties, Duryodhan's party and Yudhishthir's party, Pandava's party and the Kauravas party, both of them came on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. They selected a place to fight. They came on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and fight was about to begin. That's the background of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Now let's see a quick outline of the first chapter. First chapter has 5 major sections. First, in the first section, there is only one shloka. Who spoke that shloka? Dhritarashtra spoke that shloka to Sanjaya. Sanjaya was the minister of Dhritarashtra. He had the ability to envision what's happening on the battlefield, and he could inform this blind Dhritarashtra who could not go to battlefield. So Dhritarashtra questions Sanjaya about the scene on the battlefield. And Sanjaya starts narrating. The rest of the chapter is Sanjaya's description of what's happening on the battlefield. So what does Sanjaya describe to Dhritarashtra? He says that Duryodhan went to this Drona. Who is Drona? The teacher, military teacher of Duryodhan and Pandavas also. And he happened to fight on behalf of Duryodhan against the Pandavas. He was obliged. Sometimes we may have to do things even against our will because of certain obligations. So Duryodhan went to Dronacharya and then Bhishma. And in the presence of Bhishma and Drona, he started comparing his army and Pandava's army. Right? So that's the second section. Then Bhishma blew his conch shell. Then Yudhishthir and all the Pandavas and Krishna, Arjuna, all of them blew their conch shells. So the blowing of conch shells is the third section. Then fourth section, we see that Arjuna requests Krishna that, Krishna, can you please take my chariot between both the armies? I want to see who all have assembled on this battlefield of Kurukshetra, desiring to fight with me, fight with us. So I want to see them. So doesn't he know? He knows who all have assembled, but still he says, please take the chariot in the middle. And Krishna takes. And Arjuna observes the armies. Okay, that is the fourth section. At the end of observation, keen observation of the armies, Arjuna becomes confused. And he expresses his confusion. He gives so many so-called reasonable reasons not to fight in this battlefield of Kurukshetra. So that is the gist of first chapter. So these are the 5 major sections in the first chapter. We have not discussed the reasons. We will discuss the reasons when we come to that section. Now let's go through these 5 sections one by one. Not shloka by shloka, but we will discuss them a little bit and see the application principles in those sections, right? What we can learn from these sections, what we are supposed to do, what we are not supposed to do, the do's and don'ts, the rules and regulations, the prescriptions and prohibitions directly coming from Gita. And today's chapter is very simple, and most of these principles that we are going to discuss, you might even know also, okay? But from tomorrow, when Krishna starts speaking, things become much deeper. So first session is always simple, first chapter. So let's begin. Dhritarashtra asked Sanjaya his enquiry. So his enquiry shows how selfish he was, how partial he was. Dhritarashtra says, Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaham Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So Dhritarashtra is saying, oh Sanjaya, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. This Kurukshetra is a place, it's a holy place, Dharma Kshetra. Samaveta Yutsavaha. So in this holy place of Kurukshetra, Mamakaha, my sons, Pandavaha, Pandu's sons, have assembled Samaveta for what? Yuyutsavaha. Yu means Yuddha. So with a great eagerness to fight with each other, they have assembled at this holy place of Kurukshetra. After having assembled there to fight, what did they do? Kima kurvata Sanjaya. After assembling there to fight, what did they do? They will fight. Okay, you sat in the dining hall, someone kept a plate in front of you, and they put rice, chapati, sabji, dal, this and that, and you went there. Why did you go there? To eat. And they serve you. After going to dining hall, after the servants have served a big meal, what did you do? You will eat, right? That's obvious question. But why Dhritarashtra is specifically asking this question? Is it a redundant question? No, he had a big thought process behind this question. Let us see, let us analyze the mind of Dhritarashtra behind asking this question. Dhritarashtra was very greedy. You see, greedy. He was very greedy for the kingdom. Although he was blind, he wanted to sit on the throne. Somehow Pandu Maharaj died, he got an opportunity to sit on the throne. But Pandu Maharaj's son Yudhishthir was elder and is capable, he's knowledgeable, he's righteous. He is supposed to rule after Pandu Maharaj. But Dhritarashtra, he wanted Duryodhan to rule. Duryodhan was wicked, everybody knows that. Everybody in the kingdom knows that. Even Dhritarashtra also knows that Duryodhan was very wicked. But Dhritarashtra was very greedy for the kingdom, extremely greedy for the kingdom. He wanted his sons only to take. So you can see greed in his question. Next, you can also see some doubts in his question. Why he is asking this question? It seems that answer is obvious, but he was very doubtful of the victory of his sons. Because he said, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre, this place where the war was happening was a place of righteousness. It is a holy place. So in such a holy place, holy people, righteous people will win, not unrighteous and vicious people. He was doubtful about the victory of his own sons because he knows their nature. So doubt was there in his mind. Third point, he was fearful. You know what is the fear that was there in Dhritarashtra's heart? He was fearful that maybe my sons will compromise because of the influence of holy place, Kurukshetra, because of the holy vibes there. Maybe my sons will give up their claim over the kingdom and they may make a truce with the Pandavas. They may give the kingdom to the Pandavas. He was doubtful. He was fearful that they should not do that because of the influence of holy place. So selfish. Then finally, fourth aspect of his character, hopeful. He was very hopeful. You know what was his hope? He was hoping that let Pandavas give up their claim over the kingdom. Let them compromise. Let them run away from the battlefield. Let them give up their battle and they let them go to the forest or whatever. Let my sons rule. Let me sit on the throne. That was his greed. So these are the four things that were going on in the mind of Dhritarashtra when he asked this question. Okay, this is selfishness. Selfishness makes one so shameless. So what we can learn from Dhritarashtra's character is that people sometimes are so selfish that their selfishness will make them completely shameless and totally self-centric, that they don't mind even harming innocent people shamelessly. So when I am too obsessed with my own desire to attain something, that will make me so shameless that I desire and act for my egocentric purposes, even at the cost of harming others. A genuine person, a person of honor, doesn't desire harm for others for one's own selfish purposes. But here is Dhritarashtra, he's harming righteous people. So what not to do, Dhritarashtra is teaching us. So further, you see, let's make a little comparison between Dhritarashtra and Kunti. How many sons did Kunti have? Kunti had only 3 sons, not 5. Her sons were Yudhishthir, Bhima and Arjuna. Then who were Nakul and Sahadev? They were the sons of her co-wife, Madri. Pandu Maharaj had 2 wives, Kunti and Madri. Kunti had 3 sons, Madri had 2 sons. But after the death of Pandu and Madri, Kunti never differentiated. Kunti always felt that I have 5 sons. These 5 are my sons. She was so loving and protective. On the other hand, after Pandu's death, Dhritarashtra could not consider Pandavas as his sons. Just like Kunti, although she had 3 sons, she considered that she had 5 sons. Similarly, Dhritarashtra, although he had 100 sons, he could have considered that he had 105 sons. But he always considered that he had only 100 sons, and remaining 5 he wanted to kill them, eliminate them. This is the difference between this loving mother Kunti and this selfish king Dhritarashtra. He knows that what he is doing is wrong, what he is thinking is wrong, but still he is doing it. Ignorance is not the cause of every mistake that we do. Attachment is the cause of some mistakes that we do. He was not ignorant. He was definitely knowledgeable that when my brother died, I become the natural father of my brother's sons. I become their caretaker. I become their protector. You know what Raja means? Raja means a king. Okay. So what is the duty of a Raja? A Raja is a person who is supposed to protect his Praja. Who is Praja? Praja is citizens. But the citizens or Praja word just does not refer only to human beings. It refers to all living beings, animals also, cows also. A king is supposed to protect his Praja equally. Now here is Dhritarashtra. He could not even consider his sons and his brother's sons equally. What will he consider all the citizens equally? He thoroughly failed in his responsibility of being a king. A king is supposed to be neutral, equipoised towards all the citizens. He should administer justice. He should give love and affection to all his citizens equally. If he's supposed to be equipoised towards all the citizens, he's definitely supposed to be equipoised towards his sons, his 100 sons and his brother's sons, but he could not do that. Like Uttanapad, Uttanapad in the Bhagavatam, he had 2 wives, Suruchi and Suniti. He loved Suruchi's son Uttama, but he did not love Suniti's son Dhruva. He loved, but he could not express that love because he was handpicked husband. He was too much controlled by his younger wife Suruchi, and he neglected his older wife Suniti. So this is the difference between righteous people and unrighteous people. Okay. So this is the responsibility of a leader. A leader is supposed to treat all his or her dependents equally. So one lesson that we can learn from this context is everybody is a leader actually. Everybody is leading someone or the other. Okay. Small leader, big leader, biggest leader. Everybody is some leader. So you're leading some people, you're supposed to be exemplary. You're supposed to be unattached, unbiased. If you have some bias and attachment and prejudice, you cannot lead people properly. And Dhritarashtra is so biased and so attached to his own sons. So that's one thing. Next, let's go ahead in the story, in the first chapter. One may naturally have a question. Why Krishna did not kill the Kauravas? Krishna had the strength to kill Kauravas. Krishna had the opportunity to kill Kauravas. Krishna had all reasons to kill the Kauravas. Now, his dear devotee, Draupadi, was insulted by Dushasana. Krishna could have destroyed entire Kurusabha within 1 minute. He did not do that. He just gave sari and protected Draupadi from being insulted, but he did not take an action immediately. And in various ways, these people troubled Pandavas. They tried to burn their house. They tried to poison Bhima. They usurped their kingdom. They have sent them to forest so many times. Duryodhan, once he had sent Durvasa Muni. See, Duryodhan is such a wonderful host that he had the capacity and ability to please even Durvasa Muni. He pleased Durvasa Muni so nicely when he came to the kingdom of Hastinapur, and he requested, as a boon, can you please fulfill my desire? What is your desire? Please go to Pandavas. They are in the forest. And after Draupadi had eaten her meal from the Akshaya Patra, you should go there with your 10,000 disciples and ask them for food. I want to see them in trouble. So like that, Duryodhana is constantly trying to attack Pandavas in various ways, and Krishna is protecting them. Krishna came there to Draupadi. He ate that one little particle of rice and vegetable that is stuck in one corner of Akshay Patra, and then he ate, and all the 10,000 disciples and Durvasa Muni were belching. They were rolling on the ground, unable to digest food. So all this was happening. So Krishna protected the Pandavas. He did not punish the Kauravas. Why? He wanted to give that credit to his devotees. Krishna has already killed Putana, Trinavarta, Vatsasur, Bakasur, Aghasur, Vyomasur, Arishtasur, Keshi, so many demons. He defeated Jarasandha's armies. He killed Jarasandha's 23 Akshoghanis of armies 17 times. Such a great warrior, Krishna, can effortlessly kill Duryodhana. What is Duryodhana in comparison to Aghasur? As a child's play, Krishna killed Aghasur. Duryodhana is nothing, insignificant in comparison to Aghasur. Krishna killed very powerful demons, but he allowed his devotees to kill very popular demons. Okay, so Duryodhana, Dushyasan, Karna, Shakuni, they are more popular than Aghasur, Vatsasur. How many of the people know Aghasur, Vatsasur, Bakasur so much? I never knew. Before reading Bhagavatam, I did not know all these names. Okay, anyways, so Krishna wanted to give credit to his devotees. So this is another important lesson that we can learn. Krishna is always affectionate towards his devotees. Krishna became a subservient of Arjuna. He became a driver, chariot driver of Arjuna out of his love and affection. So Krishna is always there with his devotees as their constant protector. Another important lesson. We should never lose hope. Although sometimes the Lord may allow a devotee to undergo some kind of difficulties, still the Lord is always there with them to protect them, to support them. And he's allowing them to undergo some difficulties to set an example for common people. See, my devotees are faithful to me. My devotees never give up their love and affection for me, despite undergoing so many tribulations. With wisdom, with tolerance, and with great maturity, they deal with reversals in life. So in this world, reversals will come, whoever you may be. So these people dealt with all reversals. Pandavas dealt with all reversals with integrity, with wisdom, with maturity. They did not get overwhelmed. They did not become devastated or discouraged. They dealt with them with great maturity, with great wisdom. That's what Krishna wanted to demonstrate. Learn endurance, learn the art of tolerance and endurance from Yudhishthira, from Draupadi. Learn the art of forgiveness and devotion from all the Pandavas, from Kunti Devi. That's what Krishna is demonstrating. Krishna teaches some lessons to this humanity through his devotees. He personally teaches, and he also teaches through his devotees. He's personally teaching Bhagavad Gita, and he also taught the principles of Bhagavad Gita by demonstrating these principles through his devotees, the Pandavas. Okay, so let's see this important statement that Prabhupada has made. So this Kurukshetra battlefield is like a rice field, paddy field, and Krishna is like the farmer, the farmer of dharma. So just like a farmer uproots the weeds in the battlefield, in the paddy field, similarly, Krishna is uprooting the weeds of Dhritarashtra's sons from this holy field of Kurukshetra, Dharma Kshetra of Kurukshetra. So although Dhritarashtra was hoping that, oh, my sons should not compromise, Pandava should compromise, Pandava should give up their claim over the kingdom. He was hoping like that. But despite the desires and hopes of selfish people, God does the needful sooner or later to bring justice to the righteous people. One may think Pandavas underwent so many difficulties. Ultimately, they became victorious, isn't it? So Krishna may allow his devotees to suffer for a while, and even that suffering also is like pleasure for them, because every time they undergo some suffering, the Lord comes to relieve them from suffering. Just like you eat some mirchi and you start crying, someone gives gulab jamun, then you start smiling. Okay. Similarly, Pandavas may undergo some kind of difficulty. Krishna will immediately come and protect, and they will smile. So Draupadi was in anxiety. Pandavas were in anxiety. When Durvasa Muni came, he said, I will go and take bath and I will come back. Meal should be ready. He gave an order and then he went. And they were in anxiety for whatever, few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So Krishna came, he said, Draupadi, I'm very hungry. Can you feed me something? And Draupadi said, Arey, I'm already in the same difficulty. You're asking me to feed. She felt very embarrassed. Then Krishna said, bring the Akshay Patra. And Krishna ate little particle of rice and he became satisfied and the Rosmani ran away. Okay. So Krishna may put his devotees in anxiety sometimes and he will come and relieve them from that anxiety. And that's a very wonderful way of exchanging love and affection, right? So that love is more experienced when there is some anxious situation, right? So Krishna allows his devotees to experience that. And he himself also experiences that. Ultimately, Krishna will bring justice to devotees. Don't worry, like that. So then Duryodhan compares both the armies. He goes to Dronacharya. And you can see Duryodhan, when he's comparing both the armies, he is clearly exhibiting fear and diplomacy. So much. So he says, Pandava's army is protected by Bhima and Kaurava's army is protected by Bhishma. And Bhishma is a more experienced warrior than Bhima. So I'm in a better situation. But internally he was fearful. My God, Pandavas, how could they gather so much of army, although they were living in forest for 13 years? Internally he was fearful. He was surprised. But externally he was exhibiting some overconfidence. So this is the confidence of Duryodhan. So sometimes, now you see, he's exhibiting diplomacy. He went to Dronacharya and said, see, your disciple Drishtadyumna has arranged for the armies of Pandavas. Basically, he is taunting, he is sarcastic with Dronacharya. He said, you have trained him and he's fighting against you. And even Pandavas were your disciples, they are fighting against you. They have no gratitude. They have no respect for Guru. He's trying to instigate some kind of bitter feelings in the heart of Dronacharya towards Drishtadyumna and towards Pandavas. And specifically, there was some conflict between this Duryodhan, Drupada Maharaj and Dronacharya. So, Drupada Maharaj's son is Drishtadyumna. So, we'll not discuss that story now. I hope all of you know the story also, many of you. So, he is instigating. He did not even say Drishtadyumna. He said, son of Drupada, so that he becomes angry. So, this is the diplomacy. So, the diplomatic people exploit the anger and other frailties of other people and oblige them to fulfill their own selfish purposes. Let me instigate anger in this person. Out of anger, he will do some favor to me. That is his plan. So this is diplomacy. Diplomacy can also be used for a higher purpose sometimes, but he is using for a wrong purpose. Once a so-called strength that is based on others' weaknesses is simply superficial and not sustainable. Somehow, some people who are fighting on the side of Duryodhan have some weaknesses, have some obligations. That obligation is their weakness. But at heart, they are favoring the Pandavas. Like Bhishma and Drona are obliged to fight on the side of Duryodhan, but their heart was towards the Pandavas. And because of their weaknesses, he is just, Duryodhan is just taking advantage of their weakness, but it's not sustainable. Okay. So our strength, which is based on someone else's weakness, is not sustainable. Anyways, Duryodhan compared the armies, and here is Bhishma started blowing his conch shell. So when do you blow conch shell? You blow a conch shell before Aarti, before worshipping Lord Vishnu. So Bhishma is worshipping Lord Vishnu here, Lord Krishna here. He is beginning his puja. Bhishma blew his conch shell. So sometimes great souls assist God even by standing against him. In spirit, they're always with God. They're always with the devotees. Bhishma is a great example of this principle. Sometimes a genuine person may do something which is very unpleasant or inappropriate for our human vision, for our external vision. But it's not necessary that they are so bad. Bhishma, although he was siding Duryodhan in the war, he was always siding Krishna and Pandavas at heart. Okay. But why is he fighting on this side? Can't just Bhishma just leave Duryodhana and then go that side? There may be 100 reasons that we may give. But one important reason is Krishna wanted to give a very important teaching to all of us. You know what is the teaching? However great you may be, however powerful you may be, however influential you may be, however popular you may be, if you take the side of adharma, you will be defeated. So in those times, Bhishma was a very celebrated warrior, very great warrior, very well-known personality, very powerful, influential, famous. When he takes the side of adharma, Duryodhana's side, and he gets defeated in the hand of Arjuna, who is very, very small junior in comparison to Bhishma, and he gets defeated in the hands of Arjuna, that's a great lesson for common people. However great you may be, if you take the side of adharma, you have to be defeated. That's the lesson Krishna wanted to give all of us, and he utilized Bhishma as an instrument, and Bhishma very obediently assisted Krishna in giving this message to all of us. Is it clear? So we should not misunderstand Bhishma. He's also acting according to the will of the Lord. In spirit, he is with the Lord. So then, Tatah Svetairhayaryukte Mahatisyandane Sthitau Madhavah Pandavaschaiva Divyau Shankau Prathat Madhuhu. So Tatah Svetairhayaryukte Mahatisyandane Sthitau. So Krishna and Arjuna came on this beautiful chariot, and they started blowing their divine conch shells. So from this we can learn Krishna's Bhakta Vatsala quality. He is very affectionate towards his devotees. He can do even menial services to please his devotees, to assist his devotees, and he is voluntary, not that devotees are expecting. Just like a father may sometimes become a horse for the child. So here is the father carrying the child on his back like a horse, and sometimes the father may make some sound also and the child is just smiling. So this is love. Similarly, Krishna also is driving the chariot of his devotee. That is love. So Krishna never fails to show affection for his devotees, and he takes pleasure in personally serving them. So this is Krishna's pleasure. This is what Krishna does to his devotees. So next comes the most exciting and amazing episode where Arjuna observes the armies. And in this section, we see Arjuna's confusion and emotion. So Krishna takes the chariot between both the armies at Arjuna's request, and Arjuna starts observing. Krishna says, "Behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here." Then Arjuna sees so many people, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, fathers-in-law, well-wishers. He sees so many people, so many relatives, and he was overwhelmed with emotion, compassion. See, Arjuna confronted, but he was not convinced. He came on the battlefield. He came on the battlefield to fight with Drona, Bhishma, Karna, Dushyasan, Duryodhan, Shakuni, all these people, but internally he was not convinced. If he was so convinced, why would he ask Krishna to take the chariot between the two armies? He was not convinced. He took the bow and arrow, and he was about to shoot the arrow, and he says, "Oh, Arjun, Krishna, can you please take me the chariot? I want to see." Doesn't he know? He knows everything. He knows who all have assembled, but still he wants to see once because he was not convinced internally. An action that lacks conviction doesn't sustain for long. He was not convinced. He is taking an action, he was not convinced. Just imagine you are driving a car. Okay, you are pressing the accelerator, at the same time you are pressing the brake. How long you can drive? So here our hands may press the accelerator, but the mind is applying brakes. How long you can perform that activity? You are not convinced about that activity, but you want to do that activity. But your mind is stopping. Hey, don't do that, don't do that. But hands are doing, don't do that. Hands will listen to the mind, right? They will stop. That's the situation of Arjuna. We also, when we are doing our activities, sometimes we are not convinced about what we are doing, so we do a half-hearted job. We don't involve ourselves completely in it. We are not absorbed in doing that activity. For example, somebody is chanting japa, so mind is not fully there. Somehow they are doing, but somehow I am doing, but my mind is wandering somewhere. So, anyways, that's a simple example. But point is, an action that lacks conviction doesn't sustain for a long time. So Arjuna's point is, how can I kill my relatives? He gives 4 reasons. We'll discuss those 4 reasons. Arjuna is not convinced. How can I kill my own relatives? Now he's killing bad. Yes, killing is bad in one sense, but it's not necessarily always bad. It depends on why you are killing, whom you are killing, in what context are you killing. A soldier may kill some people on the battlefield to protect the country. He is appreciated. And a terrorist may kill some innocent people and is punished if he's caught. Okay. So soldiers killing and terrorists killing, they are different. So when someone kills whimsically for one's own sense gratification, that is wrong. If someone is killing for a higher purpose to protect the innocent, to establish dharma, there's nothing wrong in it. So violence in itself is not bad, is not wrong. For what purpose is one committing violence, that matters. So people like Duryodhan must be punished, right? So violence against them is not actually violence, it is dharma. It's a part of Kshatriya dharma. Kshatriya is supposed to kill such unrighteous people and establish dharma. So that violence is not violence. So a knife in the hands of a cook is used to cut vegetables and eat some food. But the same knife in the hands of a robber, it may be used to kill innocent people, to loot them. Okay. So the utility matters, the purpose matters, the intention, the consciousness matters more than the action. So now Arjuna gives various reasons. Arjuna gives various reasonable reasons to avoid his duty because he was bewildered. He was thoroughly bewildered. He said, Drishtve svajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupasthitam sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parisushyati. He says, my mouth is drying up. He gives so many symptoms. My limbs are quivering, my mouth is drying, my body is trembling, I can't stand, my mind is reeling. He gives so many reasons out of compassion. So emotions must be there. We should not become too dryly logical. Dry logic is not too good. We should have some logic in life, but we should not become too logical that we give up our emotions. And we should not become too emotional that we become dysfunctional. So emotions that make us dysfunctional are unfavorable. We should have emotions, but we should not become too emotional. We should have sentiments, but we should not become too sentimental and give up logic. So Arjuna kept aside the fact that Duryodhan, Dushyasan, Karna, Shakuni, all these people are adharmic. They have done so many atrocities towards the innocent. And he's only considering the fact that they are my blood relatives. So he's seeing bodily relationship with them, but he's not seeing what nonsense they have done. And he's ignoring his Kshatriya dharma to punish such atrocious people. So Kshatriya dharma is to punish miscreants. He's ignoring that dharma. He's only considering just one fact. I have a blood relationship with them. I have a bodily relationship with them. They are my brothers, they are my cousins, they are my grandfathers, they are this, they are that. So he's overwhelmed with some material emotions and he forgot all dharma, his Kshatriya dharma. So that makes him wrong in this context. Okay. So he says that if I kill my relatives, how will I enjoy? After all, we have so much of money and wealth only to enjoy with our relatives, right? If relatives are not there, even if we get kingdom, there is no pleasure. And also, if we kill such people, although they are sinful, if we kill even sinful people, we become sinful. This is a new logic that he's giving. Okay. These greedy people, they don't see any fault in killing relatives, but we see fault in killing relatives. He's fearful of sinful reactions. Then fourth reason he gives, when we, like, it's a very important thing. Arjuna is considering that so many soldiers have come. It's not just a fight between two families. It's not that 100 Kauravas and 5 Pandavas came to fight with each other. So there are thousands and thousands of soldiers on each side. They all have come to fight on behalf of these two parties, and they will die. If they die, who will take care of their family members? And family members will not have any guidance. The younger people in the family, they will be misguided when the elders in the family die. So family traditions will stop, religion increases, children will get spoiled because they don't get guidance from elders, and even the process of worshipping the Lord and doing some spiritual activities, that will also stop because there is no guidance from elders, family heads. So he analyzes the effects of destroying a family. So he says, I will not fight. So 4 reasons he gives. He's compassionate. Okay. Second, he doesn't see any enjoyment even if he wins. Thirdly, he is fearful of sinful reactions. Fourthly, he is fearful of destruction of family traditions. So 4 points. Now, what can we learn from this? What can we take for our own personal life from all this? One thing is, on a positive note, Arjuna was not whimsically presenting some reasons. Yes, he is missing some logic. Okay. But at the same time, he's a soft-hearted person. He has the necessary tolerance and forgiveness and detachment, because of which he's saying, I don't want kingdom. I don't want to kill these people. So Arjuna, although he's getting emotional, and he's saying that I will not fight with my relatives, but he's also presenting the character of a soft-hearted Vaishnava. So we should see Arjuna from both perspectives. So now Arjuna is a warrior and is supposed to kill miscreants. And Arjuna is a soft-hearted devotee. He's supposed to show compassion. He's doing both here. He's doing one here and he's not doing the other. The foremost warrior on the side of Pandavas is presenting several reasons not to fight. So we need to see Arjuna from 2 angles of vision here. One should not label Arjuna as an indecisive warrior. It was indeed his duty beyond all considerations to wipe these evil Kauravas off this earth and establish dharma. But it was the Supreme Lord Krishna who has put Arjuna in illusion. It was Krishna who made Arjuna become so confused like this at a vital moment of crisis. Why? Krishna wanted to give the teachings of Bhagavad Gita to all of us through Arjuna. Sometimes the Lord puts his own devotees in awkward situations so that we people in general get to learn from their activities. We get to learn what to do and what not to do by seeing the activities of Arjuna. We need to learn what to do and what not to do from the good and bad activities of great souls, right? Without minimizing their glory. See, although Arjuna is doing things which is not expected of him, still, it's not a reason for us to disrespect Arjuna, minimize the position of Arjuna. We learn what not to do from Arjuna, but we should also understand that it is Krishna who is making Arjuna get little confused in this situation so that he can teach dharma, he can teach Gita to all of us. Okay. So this, even stalwarts also can get confused. When we are confused in our life, what are we supposed to do? We should take guidance of a guru. That's how it ends. Now, say there is one interview. In the interview, TV interview, the interviewer, the TV channel person, the host, may call a great doctor, for example, okay, and ask so many questions. Okay, diabetes, what are we supposed to do? So-and-so disease, what are we supposed to do? How to deal with this symptom of the disease? How to deal with that symptom of the disease? How to avoid certain food items? So the interviewer is asking 100 questions. to the doctor. That does not mean the interviewer is suffering from all the diseases, right? So interviewer does not have all the diseases or symptoms. On behalf of the audience, when they are posting their questions, and sometimes there is some live, what is that called, interview going on, talk show going on, and they post their questions, and the interviewer takes some of the questions, shortlists some of the questions, and asks the person who is being interviewed. So it's like that. So Arjuna is asking so many questions on behalf of common people, so that we learn, common people learn. It's not that all these issues Arjuna had in his mind. Okay, so we should not misunderstand Arjuna. So he said, it's better I be killed unarmed. Govinda, I will not fight. He said that. And finally, he took shelter of Krishna in his confusion. Now, we enter the second chapter. In the second chapter, I'll just take one point and we will conclude now. Second chapter has 5 sections. The first section is Arjuna accepts Krishna as a teacher. And from second section, we begin with Krishna's teachings that we will see tomorrow. We'll discuss only the first one now, how Arjuna accepted Krishna as a teacher. So Arjuna is confused and Krishna started speaking. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not described as Krishna Uvacha. It is said that it's Bhagavan Uvacha. Krishna is Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulences, Van means one who possesses. So he possesses 6 opulences: wealth, wisdom, strength, fame, beauty, renunciation. He possesses all these opulences. So he's called Bhagavan. So what is being presented by the speaker of Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary truth. Directly the Almighty God is speaking. Arjuna was overwhelmed with compassion, lamentation, and tears. And Krishna said, Arjuna, this compassion, lamentation, and tears do not befit you. You are a great prince. They don't lead to higher planets. They only lead to infamy. Please give up this. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anarya justam aswargam agirtikaram Arjuna. So where have you acquired this kind of impotency? Give up these confusions. Fight. Get up and fight. Then Arjuna gives more reasons. Okay. Krishna first chastised him, and Arjuna gives more reasons. He says, how can I attack Bhishma? How can I attack Drona? Better I live by begging. I don't know what is better. Should I conquer them or should I be conquered by them? Even if I get whole kingdom, I will not be comfortable. So Arjuna is thoroughly confused, completely confused. And finally, Arjuna accepted Krishna as a teacher. And that's where we end today. Karpanya doshopahata svabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetah yah shreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme sishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Arjuna is saying, Karpanya dosha. Oh, Krishna, I have been affected by this Karpanya dosha. What is Karpanya dosha? Dosha is weakness, fault. Karpanya, Kripana means miser. I have been affected by this miserly weakness. So Arjuna is considering himself miser. He's himself saying, I'm miser. Who is a miser? One who has a lot of wealth, but he doesn't use that wealth. He's a miser, right? Arjuna has a lot of intelligence. Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, has a lot of strength, but he doesn't want to use it. Therefore, he's Kripana. Okay, he's Kripana because he doesn't want to use his strength or intelligence, military skill. That is fault. He's understanding that. Karpanya dosha. I am unable to use my Gandiva bow to fight with Duryodhan, Dushasan, Karna, Shakuni, etc. Apahata svabhava. I have completely lost my composure. Prichhami tvam. Therefore, I am asking you. Dharma sammudha chetaha. Because I am confused about my duty. Dharma means duty. Sammudha chetaha means to be confused. I am confused about my duty. Therefore, I am asking you. What is he asking? Tell me for certain. Nishchitam bruhitan me yah shreyasyan. What is good for me? What is auspicious for me? Can you please tell me? I am accepting you as my teacher and you are my I am your disciple. Sishyaste aham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Please instruct me. I am surrendering to you. So sometimes or many times in life, we are confused. We face so many confusions. We need a guide. We need a friend. We need a philosopher. We need a mature well-wisher who can put things in the right perspective to show us, to clear our confusions and show clarity in life. So the first section of Bhagavad Gita, first chapter and this first 10 slokas of Gita conclude with this note that we all need a guide. We all need a philosopher. We all need a well-wishing friend who can illuminate our perspective with more maturity, who can broaden our perspective. When we think we know everything, we will be limited to our knowledge only. Our age is less, our experience is less, our knowledge is less. But if we always, if we have the opportunity and if we have the inclination to take guidance from a person who is more experienced, more knowledgeable, more wiser, and plus a well-wisher, then we can attain success in life. Otherwise, we'll be restricted, we'll be constrained with our own knowledge. Our knowledge will just make a fence around us. Okay, this is how I will operate. This much knowledge is sufficient to me. Okay, I don't need anything more. Okay, so we can broaden it. So this world is a place of confusion. Prabhupada writes in the purport. A guru takes us on a journey from confusion to clarity. And it is recommended in all scriptures that we take assistance of a guru, shelter of a guru, to clear all confusions in life. So the miserly problem of Arjuna is his skin disease. What is skin disease here? So he's identifying himself as a relative, as a blood relative of so many of his family members. So he's identifying himself with the skin. So that is the skin disease Arjuna is affected with. So confusions are common, but an intelligent person knows what to do in confusion. What to do in confusion? Approach a teacher, approach a guru, approach a more experienced and well-wishing person. An arrogant person tries to solve all problems by one's own intelligence, but a wise person approaches a guru. When the magnitude of your problem goes beyond the ability of your intelligence to solve, humbly approach a reliable guru for solution. And that humility is real intelligence. Humility in approaching a guru is real intelligence. So with this, we'll conclude. So today we discussed a lot because it's more like storyline. So tomorrow we'll discuss few concepts from the second chapter, selected science of soul and art of doing work and the qualities of a sthita prajna. We'll take only the second chapter tomorrow. Next day we'll start the third chapter. So thank you so much. Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.